Welcome everyone to Selenium Training by Wisdom Trainings. And today in this video we will be covering the topic of data structures, that which data structures are supported by Python. If you have any doubts regarding the course or the video, you may go over the website in the free videos section and can drop your doubts or questions in the Speak Your Mind section over here. Okay, now let's just start working with the data structures, that which data structures are supported in Python. For that, I will just make a new module by the name of the first data structure that I have is the lists demo. Now we'll be discussing the data structures one by one. Okay, there are four types of data structures that are supported in Python, namely list, tuples, dictionaries and sets. We'll be talking about each of them one by one along with the examples. The very first data structure that we have is the list. And when it comes to the nature of this data structure, it is an heterogeneous data type. That means if I'm storing some data in the list, it is not compulsory to be of the same data type. It can be of different data types as well. It can store integer, string, float, or any type of data type. There is no restriction on it. It can be long as well. Okay. The second thing about the data structure list is that it is a dynamically growing data structure. Okay, as soon as you will be putting data inside this list, it will keep on adapting and expanding the list size. Okay, inside this, we'll see that one by one whether the list, what is the syntax of this list and is it mutable or not, deletion is possible or not. So we'll see to it one by one. Now let's just go to the Eclipse over here, and in the Eclipse, the declaration is very simple. You just need to give the name of your list. Okay, it's just a variable, simple variable. If I'll say list1 or even if I'll just say A. Now I need to make this variable a list. How I can do that? It's very simple. You just need to put these square brackets. Now whatever data you will put inside it, it will be considered as a list. Now let's just start putting some data. I am putting some strings as well as some integers. Okay, I'll be like apple, mango. Okay, this is my list available. Now when I'll give the command to print this A variable, it will be giving me this output. You can see. And if I want to check the type, that what is the interpreter deciding the type of this variable A. So I'll save it and I'll run it. So it shows you that it's a list variable. Okay. Now this was the declaration. Now when I talk about the list to be dynamically growing, what I need to do is firstly I need to know what is the size of this length, right? So I'll check the size of this list, and that's by the use of the inbuilt function length. So I'll say length and I'll pass my object A. It gives me the size is 5. Now I want to add the data at a particular index. Let's say I told you all the indexes will be starting from 0 till the -1 of the full length. That means the list size is from index 0 till index 4. Okay. Now for suppose I want to add some data at index 5. Okay. So I'll simply will give the data, let's say orange. Okay. And after that I want to see what my list output is coming as. I'll save it and I'll run it. It's giving me an error because my list last index is 4, so I cannot expand it like this. I cannot enter more data to the next index which is not existing. Instead, if I just want to, so this is not the right way to add or extend the list. So when you want to add some data inside a list, you need to use an inbuilt function. You just need to say a dot the name of the list and then the append function. Inside this append function, you can give the object as well. Okay, if I'll just give an object like I'll I wanted to add this variable, right? So I'll just will append it, and then after I'll check my list. Now I'll comment this down and I'll run it now. Okay, and over here you can see that my string has been added to the list now. Now the same way you can add more elements in the list as well. If I use the same function again, and now I am giving a list inside this list, I'll say 67, 85, 96 or any random numbers. Okay, I'll put some string as well, let's say black. Okay, now I'll save it and I'll run it. I need to see the output as well, so I'll say print this. I'll save it and I'll run it. Now you can see that my list has been added in my list. My element has been added in the list now. Okay, so this is how you can work with it. But when you are adding a list inside a list, this inner list will be considered as a single element. You will not be able to put any action or count the length of this inner list. Okay, but it is proficient. If you want to store some list inside a list, you can. Okay, now it comes that when I have to traverse the list. We have seen what the length of the function is. Now I'll recheck it because I have added some elements. So now the length has been increased to 7. I have added 2 elements. One is the this and the second is a list itself. So when I have to traverse it, how I can traverse it? Simply as we have done with the strings, that way we can traverse the list as well. Okay, now let's say print, and I want to retrieve the element at the 6th index. So you can see it is giving me a list because at the last element in this list at index 6 is this, right? The same way negative indexes are also supported as we have seen in the string. Okay, so if I want to traverse the list at -3 index, let's say, and if I'll run it, it gives me mango. That means this is -1, this is -2, and this is -3. Okay, so this way if you have a very large size of a list, you can traverse it in both the ways. Okay, now if I talk about the mutability, whether the lists are mutable or not. So for suppose I make a variable inside an existing list, it's an element, right? So I'll say at element 3rd, I want to edit and I want to change something else. I want to make it a color. Okay, so if I'll print it, it will give me the value, right? Now if at the same element I want to change again, I'll just will copy it from here and I'll paste it. Now I want to add this, so it is able to change it. That means my list is mutable even if I want to change any index, any element at some particular index, or I want to change the already existing element. So the strings are mutable, you can change the element anyhow you want. Okay, the next thing that we have to discuss is the deletion, that whether this data structure can be deleted or not. Okay, there might be a possibility that I have to delete only single element. So what I can do? Obviously using the index value, whichever element I want to delete, I'll give the index number of that. So I'll say let me delete the index value at 2. I need to give the command del. This is a deletion command and it's already having the definition in the inbuilt libraries. After deleting the element at 2nd index, I want to check my list. So over here in the last output, can you see that my value, the element at index 2 has been deleted, and now my revised length becomes, if I'll just will copy this from here and I'll paste it over here, my list length will be updated. Means this data structure is so dynamic. If you are adding some data, if you are deleting some data, at the same time it's releasing the free space and updating the size. Okay. Also, if you want to delete the whole list, that is also possible. Simply just use the same command del and give the name of your list. Just to check whether my list has been deleted or not, I'll check it whether it's giving me an output or not. So I'll run it. And now you can see it's giving me an error that A is not defined at line number 33. Now line number 33 is available after the deletion command of the list. That is why it's not able to get this list data and not able to give me any print information. Okay, so this is one of the data structure, and this is widely used when you are working with the complex codes because it's very compatible. It is mutable as well. Its deletion is also possible. You can edit the elements. So it has a number of benefits. Okay, now if we move further to the next data structure that we have, if I'll go over here, the next data structure that I have is the tuples. Now when I talk about tuples, the same type of nature is of the tuples as well. They are also heterogeneous, can store any type of data type, and that they are also dynamically growing. Okay, so if I'll go back and I'll show you how tuple is being declared, what is the difference between the definition of a list and a tuple. So for that, I'll just will create a new module by the name tuple demo. Okay. Simply likewise list we have declared, I just need to use a variable. I'll use the same name variable A, and when I'm declaring list the tuple, I need to use the circular brackets. Okay, now I'll put any data inside it. Instead of writing it again and again, I'll simply will copy it from here. Okay, now my tuple is ready to use. I'll simply will print this tuple. I'll see the output, how it's coming. Plus, I'll be checking the type, that what is the type being returned by the interpreter, and the length. Okay, I'll use the length of function. Now I'll save this code and I'll simply will run it. You can see my tuple is available, and now it's showing that the class is tuple, not the list, and the length is 5. There is almost everything same in the list and tuple, just some major differences that you need to be focusing on. First is the definition. The list is declared inside the square brackets while tuple is declared inside the circular brackets. Okay, rest everything is same. If you want to traverse the list, you want to check the length we have seen, you want to traverse it from the starting or from the bottom, you can do that. Okay, but the changes that you will not be able to change the elements that are already defined. Okay, now let's suppose I want to add an element. So now I have a variable, let's say I'm adding it over here in the declaration only. I'll say color. Okay, now I want to change the spelling of this color. Okay, so I'll just will access it using the index number. I know the length will be increased to 6 and it is available at index 5. So I'll say at A index 5, just change it to color and then show me the resultant tuple. Print A. I'll save it and I'll run it. Okay. So you can see it is giving me an error at line number 10 that the object does not support item assignment. That means I will not be able to change the value. Okay. The same way if I also want to delete any element, if I'll just will comment this now and I want to delete it, I'll say delete A at element 5 and then give me the resultant tuple. So that is also not supported. The deletion is not supported in tuple nor the assignment. If you want, you can give the correct information or correct elements in the declaration of the list. But if you want, you can totally delete a full tuple. So I'll say del tuple, and then to check whether my tuple has been deleted or not, I'll try to print it. I'll save it and I'll run it. Okay, I need to comment it down. I'll save it and I'll run it. So now you can see that it's giving me an error at line number 17, which is after the command for deletion of the list. So that means my tuple has been deleted. Okay, these tuples are also going to be used while we'll be working with the Selenium or we'll be working with the frameworks. At that time, we'll be having the help of all these data structures we are covering. Okay. Now this was about the second data structure, that it is not mutable, it's immutable, plus deletion of single element is not possible. Not possible. Okay. And over the declaration, it is inside the curly in the circular brackets. And when we have seen the list, it is mutable, where a deletion is possible, and the declaration is like this. Okay. These were two of the data structures that we have discussed till now. Then moving further, I am moving to the third type of data structure, that is the dictionary. Okay. Now when I talk about dictionary, dictionary is also having the same type of nature. It's also heterogeneous and also dynamically growing. The difference is just that over here we are individually giving some elements and accessing them. But when it comes to dictionary, it is always is in the pair of key and value. It will be in this pair, and whenever you have to retrieve or you have to access any of the element, you need to do it using the key. Okay. And the declaration is also a little different. You need to use the curly brackets and then you will be able to use them. Okay. So now let's just see how practically this is going to be and how we can make some key and value. Okay. So I'll go back to my Eclipse and I will just create a new module by the name dictionary demo. Okay. Okay, so now let's just get started. The same way there is a variable, let's say a, and I'll put the curly brackets now. When I have to give the key value pair, they are separated by the columns between. So I'll say this is my key. Okay, and when I want to separate the value, I'll say value. Okay, sorry. I'll save it. And now when I want to check what is the output coming be like and what is the type interpreted by the interpreter, so I'll use the type function, and the same way I'll use the length function. Okay, I'll say length a. I'll save it and I'll run it now. So you can see the class is dictionary now and it has only one pair, key and value. The same way you can add more values to it as well. Just what you need to do is you need to give the key value and a value following it. Okay, so I'll say, let's say I have a key name. Okay, and a value to it, let's say this. And if I want to see that whether it's been added in my list or not, so I'll print my list. So now you can see it has been added successfully. The same way you can also add more key and pair values. Okay, but just make sure that they are separated by the colons, and also if you are making some another pair, it will be separated by comma as usual. Okay, if I'll just make a variable over here, let's say fruit, this is my key and the value to it is apple. Okay, this will be the structure for the dictionary. Now when I want to access these keys or these, I want to see what is the value to which key. So how I can do that? I'll simply will say print list dictionary name, and instead dictionary name I'll give the key value. I'll give the key name. Let's say my key name is name, and I'll run it. So it will give me the value, that this is my value of this key that I have given. Okay. Now being we are manually adding the keys, there might be a possibility that we add the same name key which is already existing in the list, in the dictionary, right? To avoid that, what we can do is we can put some logic that before adding the element in the dictionary, just check whether it's existing or not. So how I can do that? Let's just take a look. I'll say if I'll use the if condition, and I'll use the get function now. Okay, I'll tell you about the get function. This is my list, and using this get function, you can see this get function is already having two parameters, a key and a default. You can give the key over here, and if I say I want to add a key which is fruits. Okay, my fruit is not existing, so I want to add it. So I'll take a check whether this fruit is available or not. So I'll say if it's equal to none, that means this none will return me either true or false, but it will not give me any error. Okay, so if it is returning me true, then add the key in my dictionary. I'll give the value which needs to be added over here, and I'll say oranges. Okay, and after that, if it has been added, I'll use the print statement to check my list. I'll save it and I'll run it. Now you can see it's giving me the updated list in which my fruits have been changed. Okay, now if I'll again keep a check, if I'll remove it, if I'll clear this and I'll run it again. So it's giving me the same updated list, but this time here it's returning me false because fruit key is already existing in my dictionary. It will not add it now. But if I want to replace, or if I just checked it and I want to change the value of the key that I have given, so I can say let it be grapes. Okay, now it will check whether fruits is available or not. It will return me false, but the value now will be updated to grapes. From oranges it will be updated to grapes, because somewhere around I am assigning a new value, right? So in dictionary, whatever key you are adding, it needs to be unique. Otherwise, if you are having a duplicate key, it might replace the previous data and gets updated by the new element that you are giving. Okay, so this is how you can work with the dictionaries. As I told you that dictionaries are going to be in work very much when we'll be working with the complex codes. At that time they'll be in very use. Okay, we are left with only one more data set, that is the set. Okay, now set is totally different from all of the data types. If I'll say set, the nature is same. It's also an heterogeneous data type, and it's also dynamically growing. Just the thing is that it does not have any order. Not have any order, because of which the traversing of set is very difficult. You cannot traverse a set. Every time when you will be running it, it will be giving the output in a different order of the elements you have given. Okay. And secondly, if you have some duplicate data, it will not be counted nor it will be displayed in the list. Okay, so it can have duplicate data, but it will not can be counted. Can have duplicate data, but will not be counted or displayed. Okay, and in the dictionaries we have seen that it can take only unique key values. Unique key values. Okay. Also, over here, if I'll talk about the declaration, that how it's going to be declared, it's very simple. It's inside the circular brackets. Okay, so these are 4 types of data structure. We'll see to it about the set, that how the set is going to work practically. If I'll go back to my Eclipse, and over here I'll just will create a new module by the name set demo. Okay. Now the same way I'll declare a variable and will give some data. I'll say 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm intentionally giving some repeated data to show you that duplicate data is not going to affect the length of my list. Okay, I'll use some variable as this. Okay, this is my list that I'm going to add. If I'll just mango. Okay, now the same way we are checking the type, list, output and the length. We'll do the same 3 functions. Okay, it will give me the output of this set. This will provide me the data type, and the length function will give me the length. Okay, if I'll say A. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not in the circular brackets, it's inside the curly braces. I'll run it. Now it's giving me the data type as set, and now there is no repeated data as well, and the length of the set is also different. It's not counting the repeated elements that I have given. You can see these are my repeated elements, these 4. Only the unique elements are being showed in the output, plus the order you can see it's not in the same order. Right. Now if I want to add more elements, I can simply use the add function. And now I can say I want to add some colors. I'll copy it and I'll paste it. Okay, I'll just change the elements over here. And now I'll copy it from here to check my revised list and the length. I'll save it and I'll run it. You can see that list has been revised and the output is randomly coming at any order any element is being reflecting. This set is going to be very much useful at the time we'll be working with the pop-ups or the handles at the time we are working with Selenium. Okay, so at that time it's going to be very useful. Right now this set in normal functions like for the demo functions they are not probably mostly used, but at that time we'll see the use of it. Okay, so this was all about the data structures, which data structures I have and what is their nature, what are the differences and what are the applicable functions. Okay, now let's just talk a little about strings as well. And for that, suppose this is just a block in which I can keep anything. Now let's suppose inside these I have single characters. Okay, strings, Let me suppose I'm just having the characters. Now if I combine all these characters, this will become a word, right? It will become a word, and that word is called strings. Okay, we can say that string is a collection of characters. Now over here, if I talk about strings like this, that there is a number of alphabets in a single string. So by that also you understand that whenever the string is being saved in the memory, how it's going to be. Right now we have the strings, right? Now for suppose I want to edit this string, I want to increase it to something else. Let me just say I want to add some more things over here. Okay, and inside this I would like to have string, and inside the strings I'll be having cats. Okay, just for example. Now whenever the memory will be located, memory will be assigned to this string, this will be extended. Right now when the memory was reserved, it was reserved for only this much space, this much characters. But when I have again assigned the value to a variable, as I told you it's possible in Python, so now the memory will be extended to this much. Okay, there will be an expansion in the memory blocks. As many as strings will be added or decreased, they will be adjusting itself in the memory, and the free space which will be there will be collected by the garbage collector. Okay, so this was about strings. Now we'll see what is the nature of strings in Python. Okay, because every language have strings inside it, but the structure and the nature is totally different in every language. So we'll take a look at that now. Now over here in my Eclipse, what I'll do is I will make another package by the name module 4. Okay, and in this module in this package I'll be making another module by the name strings demo. Okay, now when I talk about it, let me just have a variable. Let's say a is my variable, and whenever I want to assign a string to a variable, I either have to put it in single quotes or in the double quotes. Then only it will be considered as string, otherwise the interpreter will decide the data type by itself. Okay, in any case in this double quotes you have anything, even if you have some number like this is also a string. Okay, if I'll just show you, if I'll save it and I'll use the type function, I'll say type of a, I'll run it, Python run. It shows you that it's a string. The reason behind this is just because it's inside these double quotes. That's why interpreter is considering it as a string. So this is how you can just assign some variable a string value. Okay. Now what are the operations that can be performed over it? Now right now I have this variable over here, and this is having 6 digits inside it, right? So the expansion of memory will be like, in these 6 digits it will be stored and rest will be the blank ones. Now if I'll edit it, if I'll say let's change it to, and now let's just suppose I change the value of this variable. I'll keep it like anything, like apple. Okay, now also the type will be string, but in the memory representation, the values over here, if I'll go over here, now a new block of memory will be reserved, in which there will be 5 partitions to save this string. If I'll make it, and inside it there will be alphabet by alphabet storage, and this whole memory block that is reserved will be given a name A. Okay, whenever I'll be accessing this A, the memory location will be accessed from this block. Okay, this is how somewhat in the background the memory could work like. Okay, now it was just about how this memory is actually going on and how it's being saved. Now let's just take that I want to get the number of elements, or I just want to get the length of the string. How I can get that? So I'll just will use an inbuilt function which is provided by Python, that is the length function. This length function counts the number of elements in any particular object. If I'll say enter, and now I'll give the object name, that is my variable a. I'll save it and I'll run it. So you can see it's giving me the length as 5. Whenever I want to access these elements individually, I will have to start from the index 0 till the -1 of the length of the string. Okay, if the length is 5, so my index will be going till 0, from 0 till 4. If I'll say I want to access them one by one, so I'll say print a at index 0. So I'll see what is available at my index 0. So it's giving me a. Now if I want to check what is at the last index, what means what is the last index, also I will be getting from the length, right? I'll check that what is available at the last index from here by using the negative indexing. If I say that it cannot be 0 again, right? So I'll use the negative index to start the traversing, to start searching the element at the last. So it will be -1. So if I'll save it and I'll run it, it gives me E. Okay. Likewise, if I want to start traversing my string from the back, the same way I can retrieve negative indexes continuously as well. If I'll say I want to check the element at a -2 index. So if I'll save it and I'll run it, it will give me the second last element that is available in the string. Okay, so this is the way how you can just traverse any string that you have. Okay, just need to know the length of the string, what is the length, and using that you can traverse the negative and positive indexes. Now the second thing about the strings are, let's suppose this is my variable and I have a value inside it and I'll simply want to print it. Okay, I'll print this b. There is no issue, it's a string and it will print me the value. Okay, now just for suppose I want to change this value from cat to mat and I just want to edit the first index value. So what I can do, I can simply say b variable and the index 0. At this I just want to change it to m. And then I want to print my variable b. Okay, now if I run this code, so you can see it's giving me an error that the object does not support item assignment. That means that I cannot edit this code at a particular index. But if I want, I can reassign the value. I can say, if I instead of this, I'll say b is equals to mat. Then it is fine. There is no issue in assigning this value to the b, because now a new memory allocation will be done and that memory location will be pointing to this variable b. Okay, if I'll print this and I'll comment it now and I'll save it and I'll run it, you can see it's giving me the updated value. Now when it's giving me an error that I cannot edit any particular element at the particular index, this means that the strings are immutable. I cannot change them at any moment. Okay, so this was all about the structure and the nature of strings in Python. You can use any of the type. You can use the length function, type function. You can traverse the string using the positive and negative indexes, that is from the left side or from the right hand side that you can traverse it. Okay, so this was all about this video. There is many more to come in the Python basics. Till the time, do practice this and thank you.